Okay, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're from. I remember, sorry about that, minor break in transmission. We're trying to be sure that those online on YouTube are also part of the meeting. Now we have confirmed that YouTube is working. So if you can't see us here on Zoom or any of your friends that want to join the meeting, you can ask them to join on YouTube. I already shared the live stream on our chats, and rightly I also put it on this. So in case you want anybody that you know that want to join, you can invite him or her to join the join us live on YouTube. Same thing. Okay. On that note, I want to quickly start, as I'll share my screen again, and ask that confirm you can see my screen. It's a loaded day. It's a loaded day, so we want to be sure that we maximize our time. Please, once again, confirm that you can hear me loud and clear and that you can see my screen. Please, just write yes. You can see my screen, and another yes if you can see my screen and you can hear me loud and clear. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Now, for those of us that join us now, we want to request that you should just do this first task of a self-introduction. We may not have time to do that one-on-one. So write your name, your current location and affiliation, where you are joining us from. Then with that, we are good to go. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for your time and for your interest in being part of this the 6th edition of the African Scholars Mentorship Network. Right. So this is the agenda we are running for today. Is quite loaded. Joining with me is my co-host. We have been doing this for the past edition from 4.0 to 5.0, and now to here we are 6.0 of African Scholars Mentorship Network. Yeah, so I remain your host and the privileged coordinator of Africans Mentorship Scholars Network, ASME for short. My name is Evans Usaboye. I'm a professor of economics at Cambridge University in North Ogun State, where I'm also the privileged founding chair of the PECOS Institutions and Development Research Center, to be short, DIaDeRC. So, like I said earlier, for this is the first episode, and I will tell us now other episodes hint of that. And all of that, all of the details are on our event page. If you go to the DIaDeRC website, it's just here, www.diadeRC.org. Here, under event, you'll see the various episodes and ASMN 6.0. So I'm taking us to the first point now, which is the welcome remarks. And after that, my brother and co-host, Professor Afolabi, will be on to take us his presentation, and then I will join coming in later. Okay. So I'm taking this first one, and which is the welcome remarks, and I want to welcome all of you for being here today. Like I said, you can engage as much as possible via here in Zoom platform, or we also on live on YouTube. I'll share that on our WhatsApp group. I'll also share that on this chat of this Zoom program. So I will said we should just introduce ourselves, kid and coming, your name, current location, and one of the greatest reasons why you decided to join this ASME 6.0. So on that note, I say I welcome you in the name of the God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost. Thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate you sincerely. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, so this is the sixth edition for, we just call it the African Scholar Mentorship Network. And from the interest I've seen in the last episode, we do live streaming on YouTube, and also this live streaming, and also we have created a bespoke channel we just call Scholars Mentorship Network, whereby we provide so that we are reaching others beyond Africa. So we have this channel that will provide such global materials that are needed for our scholarly and professional career. That being said, this is the for episode 2, which is next Sunday. So the next 4 weeks, we're running this program, same time, same channel. That's episode 2. Episode 3 is on episode 2 will be on AI and research and grant writing. Episode 2, that's episode 2. 3 will be on publication, nitty-gritty of publication, how to get rewarded in publication, and various insights. We have this flyer, details on our website. For episode 4 is this big brother from African Development Bank will be coming on the 16th of November, which is the last day. So in the next 4 weeks, we'll be doing this together with different scholars and professionals joining us. So let's keep this team on. So before we go to the next one, I'll give us some insight on our insight on networking and mentorship. For us in DIaDeRC, I want to quickly give us, so basically we have this general community, what you call the DIaDeRC ASMN community. 1 minute, let me tidy up this. Please don't write on my. Okay, so we expect that this is the general community, which is everyone that we reach out to. And from here, some that want to take it further, we become ASMN Premium members. And then from here, if you become a direct team, have a number of them, and have our advisory board who would like the overseer. So this is basically the ASMN community platform that we run. If you go to our website, you see all of the details under direct team. Okay, so and next one I want to talk about is the framework that we are using for our scholars mentorship network, or for short for mentorship network. We have these 3 pillars we call the mentorship nurture cycle. It's a schema that I developed with one of my mentors over the years. This is built on our personal experience and also based on what we have achieved over the years. So first and foremost is that in a mentorship network that we work, we conceive and understand that it should be mentee driven. In other words, the mentee should be the captain and the mentor should be the co-pilot. So in other words, the mentor should be the one providing the guidance, but the driving force is the right of the mentee, so that the mentee is able to develop his or her passion in the area he or she has chosen. And still on that, the second pillar is the pillar of what I call the honesty and integrity. So each one has an expectation of each other or one another. And then so the area of integrity, trust, transparency, even the confidentiality. There are times mentees share some things that are confidential. So such confidentiality are also very important for a mentorship cycle that will be productive and that will work effectively. The third pillar, which is also very important, is the pillar of regular evaluation and progress. So there should be regular check-ins, feedback, and performance tracking. So if it wasn't every 6 months or 1 year, you want to know what progress have been realized in this process. So that's basically the 3 pillars that we are building upon, that we use as a framework for mentorship cycle that we be productive. Now, the next point I want to take on this introductory remark is there are these 3 points that are very similar: supervision, coaching, and mentorship. They're related, but there's a little thing different between them. One, supervision is generally seen as authority-based. Okay, supervisor overseeing the work of supervisor. So it's more like a authority-based oversight management. And similar to it is coaching. For coaching, coaches are performance focused. I don't want to go into details on this because there's no time for that. We have also done that I have a talk on that on our Scholars Mentorship Network, which you can check shortly. The last one is which is what we focus on, has an element of 1, 2, but much more so is development focused and long-term career guidance. And in addition to that, it's more like voluntary. It's okay, voluntary. So and that is why it's very important that everybody's interest is carried on board, like we just shared earlier in the previous slide, that they should regular check-in, they should be mentee-driven, and the mentor becoming the co-pilot, while the mentee is the pilot. Now, this is a pillar of tracking academic or research impacts, which were also developed in the last 2 years when we started the African Scholars Mentorship Network. So first and foremost is the issue that it was, no matter where you are starting from, no matter where you're starting from, so we start with the knowledge consumption, and then you can go into the adaptability. Then this one is the knowledge production. Here you consume knowledge, read, write, then knowledge production to gain visibility. Then we have knowledge moderation. At this point, you are reading and reading. For knowledge production, you are started begin to write by producing knowledge, and then so that will help you define your area of focus. And then at the level of next one is the level of knowledge moderation. In this case, you are serving as reviewers, try to moderate what other people are writing, or have written, and then the point of stability and integrity becomes very crucial. And the last one, which is knowledge stimulation. At this point, you are the one defining what people should write on or relate with. So that in that case, you are moving to the realms of academic mortality. Okay, 1 minute more. Sorry, our co-host is joining. Let me just make you co-host. Afolabi, welcome, please.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, let me just make you co-host before I miss that. Sorry about that. Okay. I think you are co-host now. So yeah. Okay, I'll just finish the introduction, then we are good to go. Thank you so much for coming on board. Okay, so let me just run through this opening remark, and then we are good to go. Benefit of mentorship, we may not need to go into that because it's quite numerous, but a few of them are just listed here. And like I said, there's a talk on that. So let me go to where so I can welcome. So these are very important. How do you choose a mentor? This is where many people ask question. Who do I want to choose as a mentor? And so from my experience and from research, I have these terms using mentor to define the choice of choosing a mentor. And also from my experience with the 2024 Nobel Prize winner, James Robinson, who is also part of our DIaDeRC advisory board. So there's part of us self-assessment, know what you want, and then goal setting, know who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses. So those that can help you strengthen your strength and weaken your weaknesses are important. So in other words, magnify your strengths and minimize or mitigate your weakness. That's one point. Second point is a goal setting. What do you want? What are you looking at for? And what can take you there? So in choosing a mentor, I have this one. The person should be able to motivate you for progress. Okay. It's a two-way. So the person should be able to motivate you for progress. So the person inspires, the one that inspires to motivate him. And then if the one that exemplifies what you want to do, there's something you want to achieve, but there's somebody who has done it before. So he can tell you from his own experience how to do it. So he or she exemplifies what you have to do. And then he's able to nurture your ideas or your dreams come to pass. Then he or she will target your potential. So the person is not after you now. The person can always say you can do better. That's why in most cases, your mentors don't pet you. Your mentors always provoke you. It's like you look, at most you look like, am I not trying? But the person will say, okay, you are doing well, but you can do better. So that is one of the goals of know who should be mentor. The person that should want to push you forward, motivate you, provoke your potential. And then O for observe your, as you grow, you can track or observe your growth process. And the R is what that will relate with you, but with resolve. Okay, it's cordial, but then the person is able to do that with resolve. Okay, so before I hand over to my brother to give us the next talk, I'll just introduce us to the insight we got from the data we have on ASMN 6.0, which happens to be one of its kind since we started this in 2023. So from the registration, we were wowed. Honestly, we were pleasantly wowed. Thanks to everyone who was part of the process, who was part of disseminating the the call for so comparing that with ASME 5.0, in 5.0 we have 329 registered participants, and in 6.0 we had there's a big jump. I think when I did the rough math from 329 to over 360, about over 460 responses, which is like almost over 40% increase. For me, that was quite wow. And again, thanks to everyone that played a role in sharing the information. Thank you so much. We appreciate you for that. And for gender, we have also seen that in all of them, we have over 40% of the participants registered as a female participant, which is also very encouraging, far more than the 30% UN gender equality restriction, or so to say. Okay, thank you so much for that. And then looking at uniqueness of 6.0, whether those who are on the registered have done it before. And again, we're also wowed to see that over 85%, over 86% of the participants are actually new entrants. It means that we are reaching out to those who have not joined us before. So over 86% are joining for the first time. And again, another point is that for 1.0, we started in 2023, we have those who are still there from 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0 to 4.0, 5.0, that which means since 2003, they also be part of it. And also show that people also interested in what we do, even though there are similar content, but each of the content are unique because we have different facilitators coming from different perspectives and updating information with the current issues on ground. So once again, thanks so much for joining us. And when we also look at the geography, we also wowed looking at this is the highest ever in terms of number of countries represented. The last one we had was 25 countries. Now we are seeing from over 30 countries, about 34 countries. And not only that, we're reaching the continents. I think we also have somebody from the ones in green are the ones joining from South Africa, from Brazil. So no, the ones in green are the ones joining for the first time from Brazil, from Chad, Cote d'Ivoire, the DRC Congo, from Ireland, from Malawi, from Morocco, from Somali, from Spain, from Togo. These are people joining countries who are having on board for the first time. And the ones on yellow are the ones that from outside of Africa. So we are seeing that we are reaching out to more grants. But if you also look at the country spread, it's like we over the 5 major continents are covered, from the North America to South America to Asia to Europe and to Africa. So that shows that ASME is becoming a global brand, which we are also very thankful to God and also very thankful to you for believing in us and for being part of it. So that's also that for looking. And now I want to quickly move to the next one, as I call on Aminat to give us the citation of the next speaker, which is my co-host, Professor Afolabi, all the way from Canada. So Aminat, if you are there, please help us take the citation of Professor Afolabi Taiwo. What are you, ma? Dr. Chiwe, can you help us if she's not there? Take us earlier. Chiwe, are you there, please? Help us read out the profile of Professor Afolabi Taiwo. Your mic is muted. You can unmute. Dr. Chiwe, are you there? let me unmute you. Chinwe, okay, we're going to just close. Okay, hold on. Okay, Chinwe is not there. Okay. Okay, let me call on Patience to read that for us. Thank you so much. So all that Taiwo, then you can share your screen. So let's get that done.
Good evening, everyone. Here is the citation for Professor Taiwo Afolabi. Professor Taiwo Afolabi is the Canada Research Chair at Socially Engaged Theatre Director, Center for Socially Engaged Theatre, CSET, and a full professor at the University of Regina. He is an artist, qualitative researcher, theatre manager, applied theatre practitioner, and educator with a decade of experience working across a variety of creative and community contexts in over 24 countries across 5 continents. He researches, creates works, performs, and teaches at the intersection of performance and human ecology. He has co-edited 6 books and published articles in various books and reputable journals. He is a senior research associate at the University of Johannesburg, South Africa, and the founding artistic director of Theatre and Misery International / Mobile Research Lab, the editor-in-chief of Journal of Creative Arts and Social Enterprise, JCASE.
Okay, so let's join. If you can clap your hands, do clap.
You can join us by clapping.
Digital hands.
Thank
you.
Otherwise, so
you're welcome, Professor Afolabi.
Thank
Prof,
you.
okay, let me stop sharing my screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's get to this. Thank you so much. And my sincere apologies. I came in a few minutes later. It's always the time difference. So really appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak and present. And I'm also happy about this partnership. It's growing from, I think, when we started in, I think maybe 2.0, 3.0, I can't remember now. And now 6.0, we're over 400. That's an astronomical growth there, Prof. So congratulations on that, and really excited that this is it's moving forward, and it's amazing. So what I normally, for the past 3 or 4 editions, what I normally do is to just kind of speak about the art of grant writing. That's what I'm also going to do today within my time. If there are questions, please let me know. And as you can see, I think what we're trying to do here, it's showing the power of partnership, which we're going to talk about as we think about grant writing, because more and more research grants are becoming what we call interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary. And I know we'll speak to that again in my presentation today. And so I want us to start thinking in our various works and in various research to start thinking of what does it mean for your research, for your work to exist in relationship with other works. Okay, so because again, we realize that based on research and again, by the virtue of what I do, I sit on many of these grants, adjudication committees, and same as Prof and some other people here on this call. Most of the time, the project or the research that gets it are those projects that either have that interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary element to it, or they have potential to go towards that direction. So in my little presentation today, I'm going to be talking about the art of grant writing. And like my bio did say, and thanks for that introduction. I'm a professor. My work focuses on applied theater and cultural and creative industries, and really appreciate all the organizations and initiatives that I have the opportunity to be leading or co-leading or working with. The objective of this presentation is to kind of give us an overview and foundational information about grant writing or grantmanship. And in the other, so this is sort of hopefully forms that foundation that will help us as we think through the remaining part of this series in the coming weeks. The outline, I want to first of all give an introduction, which will be like shifting our mindset about grants and, of course, the key guiding principles, and then move into processes and procedures, and then into kind of dissecting a little bit the application itself. And then we'll talk about other aspects and then final thoughts and question and answer. So for some of you that may have seen me present on this before, this is always where I always start, and that's because I'm a believer that you can't give what you don't have. And so, especially when it comes to things like grant writing and research and funding, I know earlier on Prof was talking about mentorship and all of that. We have to know, in Nigeria, you say you want to give a Hausa person a drug, they say, as that ailment, have you had it before? Did you use that same drug? There's something trying to translate, literally. Now I know it's not working that much, but the idea is that you can't give what you don't have. So for me, my own positionality kind of speaks to why, hopefully some of the things that we talk about today, you find them useful, because I've experienced it. I continue to be in it. I've won over, millions in grants, in funding, and in kind support. The last time I checked, it's over 5 million, both grant funding and in-kind support. I've reviewed hundreds of funding and admission applications, which also means that I've had the opportunity to review multiple applications from small to big. Okay, I'm telling you, from small applications that are like $5,000 to millions of dollars. I've also led and continue to lead initiatives that have garnered millions in grants. I've mentored researchers who have won grants, who have graduated from PhD, from master's program. Some are even doing their PhD. Some have gone on to become, faculty members. And of course, I've led different organizations. So I do hope that whatever I'm sharing with you today is coming out. It's coming from research, but not also research. It's coming from my own personal practice that I've done and I continue to do. Which then moved me to the big thing that I'm hoping that we can get out of this. Is really craftsmanship is, as we define, is the art of acquiring peer-reviewed research funding. It's, consider both the quality of the science and quality of the grant application. We need to constantly remind ourselves what this is for. The process, it's the art of acquiring peer-reviewed research funding. The reason why I use the word art intentionally is that, I didn't use act, I use art, because you have to learn. It's a skill. It has to be learned. It can be learned. Okay. The more that we do it, the more we do it, the better we become. And it's peer reviewed. And by reviewed, whether it's peer reviewed, it means that it has to go through certain level of adjudication. Somebody has to take a look at it. They have to vet it and say, at times they will send it to experts in the field to figure out, if we fund this research or this project, is it in alignment with our practice? Is in alignment with what we want to do, with the mandate of the organization or the fund or the funder? Which then means two things we need to consider is the quality of science, the quality of the science, and the quality of the grant application. And you hear me say this over and over again, that you can have solid science. By science, we mean solid research, solid ideas. But if the quality of the grant application is not good enough, it doesn't matter. It can disqualify you. But I've seen research applications, proposals, where the quality of science isn't that 100% great, but they have solid quality of writing the application and they got it. So I am not pushing for, quality of science that is not good, and good quality of grant application. For me, I'm pushing for both of them. That we have to consider both the quality of the science and the quality of the grant application. I cannot overemphasize that. And we're going to get into that a little bit. So the art of grantmanship or grant writing will not turn mediocre science into a formidable grant proposer. But poor grant writing, poor grantsmanship will and often does turn very good science into an unfundable grant proposal, which means that we have to put in the work of understanding what we want to do. That's why we're asking, what's literature saying? Show me your literature review. What's the context session saying? Let me know your methodology. What's your knowledge mobilization strategy? How do you aim to disseminate your knowledge? How do you aim to ethics application? What's the current literature saying in this field that you are of this proposal? Like, all of those things constitute the quality of the science, the quality of the idea. Okay. And then putting that into what? Into the grant writing itself. So before you start writing, you need to, in terms of, so now that we've kind of, agreed, hopefully, or understand, or at least, speak a little bit about the quality of the idea, the quality of the science. And like I said, when I'm using the word science here, I don't mean like science as a field. I mean the quality of the idea, the quality of the proposal, the quality of the research you're wanting to do. That's non-negotiable. The quality has to be high, because remember, the lot of, and Prof will tell you also, we have our share. We continue to have share of funding, applications that were not funded, because there's only one slot, and you have 1,000 people submitted proposals, and they have to only choose one person. So the quality of science, or the quality of the ideas, has to be good. And then the quality of the writing itself. So before you start writing, there's some couple of things that we need to look at, because all of that will help us to think about how to write. If again we're even fit to write, does this work for me? Does this proposal, does it, this opportunity is in alignment with what I'm doing? Read the guidebooks, read the guidelines, read the application forms carefully, and follow them exactly. In fact, more and more, many applications, many fundraising, funding organizations and funding opportunities would even do like a Q&A, like a session that would, for interested people, members who, community members who are interested in applying, to interact with a human being. Okay, so for example, if you're applying for SHOC in Canada is called Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council. We have what we call the CIHR, the Canadian Institute of Health Research. We have what we call NSOC, the National Science and Engineering Research Council. We have, other funding for PhDs, such as Trudeau Foundation, such as Vanier, and we have many, we have IDRC, and again, depending on your context, we have the UK, Australia has its own, of course, Africa has its own, like Codestria, where each of these funding organizations and agencies and opportunities, they have guidelines, they have guidebooks, they have application forms. But more and more, they are beginning to do like a session where a human being would actually talk to potential applicants. It's good to track that, to go for it, listen to it, read the eligibility, read the requirement, read the timeline, because all of those things will help you, not just only in having a solid proposal and good writing and planning, it will help you to plan and be able to even know, is this an opportunity that I will apply for or not? I'm coming to execution, but I'll give you a personal example. This actually happened recently, like really, like literally, like less than 48 hours ago. There's somebody that reached out to me wanting to do postdoc, and they had opportunities they wanted to apply for. Of course, I got into a meeting with them, and then the opportunity they want to apply for actually closes by 5th of November, and I'm like, well, this is 26th of October, and this thing is closing 5th of November. That's less than a week-ish. If we want to put in a very strong application, like a really strong application, we can't nail it in 1 week. I'm just being honest with you. We can put in a wishy-washy application, which we know we're not gonna get it. But I rather want to put in a very strong application so that our chance of getting it can be high. And so when we receive that opportunity, reading the timeline, the eligibility, and all of those things can help us to plan effectively, and of course, help us to plan well. Now that we've kind of get the basics, let's go into execution. Good writing will not save bad ideas, but bad writing can kill good ideas, good ones. So it's important to start thinking of preparing multiple drafts. Now, that's the reason, which is the example I gave you is a segue into the idea of execution. A lot of the time we think that when we do just we write a proposal and then that's it. In fact, one of my mentees, who is now really, really remarkable scholar, he has a, he's a PhD, he's a doctor now. I remember back in the day when he was we're trying to apply for different opportunities for him. The first proposal he sent to me was 24 pages. And the first thing I think was I literally hacked it down to 12 pages on the first goal and the first read at it. By the time he was submitting the last proposal, like the final draft, he was only able to submit 6 pages. And I tell you, that proposal got him into more than 5 different admissions. One of them was fully funded, which he ended up going to, fully funded in the UK. He was able to get to University of Exeter. He got to a university here in Canada, and then some other universities like that. Preparing multiple drafts is very important. Asking people to review from trusted colleagues and partners is very critical, because then that way it will help you to be able to know. They can ask you questions. If, for example, you're writing something within the area of prof, for example, and I know that ASMN has it, the premium layer of connection and membership, that the opportunity for somebody to review your work or for prof to review your work and other partners to review your work might be possible. But the point though is that having your work being read by other people, trusted colleagues and partners and mentors, will very help you. They're going to push you to ask questions about methodology. Again, they think from the perspective of the reviewer. So each time, for example, if somebody send me a proposal to read, I'll read the science, the idea first, okay? So that's the first layer of feedback. But my second layer of feedback is reading from the perspective of the reviewer, because I also review applications. Okay, if somebody in economics is reading, because again, many of these committees now, they are trying to build it in a way that they are very interdisciplinary. So which means that at times there's some application that will tell you, write in a layman word, write in a general language. Don't be too over academic, because the person reading your work may actually not be in your field. So the person that is reading your work is giving you that kind of feedback. So the executing it then helps you. The science is strong, the idea is strong, the writing is strong. In fact, for some people, they'll even tell you, give it to somebody that can copy edit it for you. All right, there's some funding that you cannot submit without somebody reading the English for you over and over again, so that the idea you want to say, what you've written actually match what you want to say. So executing it is then very important. Submission. Due to logistics and technical issues, I always suggest submitting days or hours before the deadline. In fact, days before the deadline, because a lot of the time, many of these systems, it's crammed, right? So it's important to think about submitting very early. After you've submitted, then of course you wait patiently, which is all we all do. In fact, for anybody that wants to be in the academia, you have to learn the game of waiting, and waiting without be anxious. Because if you don't learn what it means to wait, you just be anxious for nothing. You wait. The process of waiting, we deal with it differently. Some people deal with it by praying. Some deal with it by reading the application over and over again. Some people go to the web page and look for the portal and things like that. But at the end of the day, just ensure that you've submitted and now it's off your hand. Remember, the result of the application does not define or determine who you, if you receive the funding, does not determine who you, I'll take that again. The result of your application does not define you, rather. If you receive the funding, it's amazing. If not, you learn from the experience and move on. I just heard a few weeks ago about a particular application that I submitted that I did not get. Glory to God. And I just said again a few weeks ago about another application that I submitted that I received. Glory to God. It doesn't define you. And a lot of the time, it's really important for us to remind ourselves that at the end of the day, we're not being defined. We're getting better and better at some of these things. And that way we can be, better in the things that we're doing. With that, I'll stop sharing my screen. I think I've reached my time in the conversation, but I want us to, if there are questions for me, please throw it in the chat. And as folks are thinking about questions, the other thing I want to say particularly, It's about the portal and the systems that you're going to be using. Some of us are not familiar with some of those systems, so it's important to go create some of them they might allow you to create like a dummy account. Like ensure that you create those, take a look at those portals or those submission portals, whatever they call it, is very important. For some funding, you have to work with your university. If you're in a university or it's more at a higher level, maybe there's some funding that it's a university that need to recommend you for those funding. Work with your research office. There will always be a research office. There are also times that you reach out to somebody that has won that award before. If they're interested in sharing their proposal with you, some don't, some do. You can, again, there are ways to learn some of these things, and you can then learn from them. And then when somebody shares their proposal with you, please don't go and send it to somebody else, because again, it's part of rule of collegiality is respecting that this person is helping you. If there's some funding application that needs recommendation letters, you need to tell your recommenders way ahead of time. Don't tell them 1 day before, 2 days before. And of course, you have to be strategic in how you select your recommendees, your recommender, sorry, who is going to write a letter for you. So there's other things I was going to touch. And the last thing, the AI. We're in an AI generation now, folks, and we've seen more and more people using AI to write proposals. And so check what is the AI policy. Each funding organization has its own policy about AI. Check it. Some no. Some would say if you use it, declare it, depending on what part. And I know we're all scattered all over the world. So there are different practices that are emerging due to AI and all of that. So take a look at what the policy says. And with that, I can see that somebody's saying that I want to ask, how can I write a grant to fund my poetry business? Thank you. That's a very specific question. I'm not sure we have time to talk about that because it's a business. It's a different kind of model. And I think there are some funding organizations that focuses on social enterprise and things like that. But perhaps you can think about what is the research aspect of that business that the research can. So there's always a research aspect to an idea. And of course, Prof and I can connect with you more on that. But it's possible, but because I know there's an area, for example, in economics that has to do with agriculture, all right, livestock and all of that. So but you have to look at the research component of it. So that's that. Another question here, I didn't get you very well when you were speaking, preparing many drafts. Can you explain more, please? What I mean by many drafts is that don't just write draft one, your first writing, and you say that's what you are submitting. It will never cut it. I'm sorry, and Prof is here too. We don't write first draft and then we say that's it. In fact, there are times that you have to write like 6, 7, 8 draft. Your proposal will go through multiple iterations. Because if I send my draft, for example, depending on what I'm writing on, and I send it to Prof, he will give me perspective and say, oh, have you considered this? I will take that feedback, go and put it, right? And then I send it to another person. So that's what I mean by multiple draft, which means that when you are thinking of the timeline for preparing your proposal, put that timeline in. I know Prof is extremely busy, so which means that if I'm submitting a proposal for December, possibility that I'm getting late for him to review my work is right now is done. Because clearly I will need to give him like another 1 week or 2 to review it. So putting the timeline in that way, because the people that you're asking them to review your work, they are also very busy and different things like that. So that's what I mean by multiple draft. What specifics are the reviewers looking for in a grant research? Yeah, thank you. That also, again, I'll try to answer that briefly now. Prof, please, I invite you to come in at this point if anything want to chime in. Now,
Okay, thank you so much. I think, yeah, let's
Okay.
keep them coming. Let's keep them coming.
Okay.
I'll take them holistically. There are also some on YouTube, and my YouTube team members on YouTube, please, let's harvest them. We also have many persons on YouTube from
Okay.
almost everybody the world. So we'll harvest them together, and we'll just, so allow me to just give a further talk on this, to join what the Prof has said.
All right.
Then
I'll pass it on to
maybe
you.
in the next 20 to 25 minutes, they will not have the remaining time for Q&A. So we'll treat them all together because some of the points that are being asked here are also things that we cover. So
That's right.
I will just take the next one. Please confirm whether you can see my screen. This was where I stopped while introducing the
Yes, we can see it. Yes.
Great. Right. So those on YouTube. Is it coming up? YouTube not yet. Please let's check. I think, is it there? Okay, so I want to just Paul also mentioned about the issue of opportunities and activities we do on DIaDeRC. So for those of us who want closer mentorship and closer collaboration, there are, I'll just take us a few of them, and we'll now go to what I've called the commandment of Grantsmanship. So there are a few opportunities that the number of them I've mentioned. One of them is the DIaDeRC, what we call the ASMN African Scholars Premium Membership. This one provides a closer collaboration. If you remember, those that came online earlier enough, gave us our a kind of not template, but a kind of the framework where we grow. So this is the general ASME community. We chat currently we are over 1,500 across many countries in Africa and even beyond in Asia, in Europe, in America. So though the ASME members are the ones that come closer to us, which we look at the DIaDeRC, if you like, call them disciples of DIaDeRC, and are the ones that will harvest to become direct team members. So these ones enjoy closer mentorship and closer support. So that's the first opportunity I want to tell us that we have opened up. We started that last year. I have onboarded batch 1, batch 2, and the call for batch 4 is up now. And that will run between now and last week of November. So check it out on the website. Is there when you go to the web DIaDeRC.org, the DIaDeRC website, when you just click join the network, you see all the details there and all the benefits that you get for that. And once you on board, we send you what we call the ASME Premium team member badge to show that we have acknowledged that. And then each of those batches have their own dedicated platform where they collaborate and also in clusters. So I will advise you to go there. And you can join from anywhere, any part of the world you want to join. Then many people also ask, will there be a certificate for this training? Yes, there are criteria. There are two major criteria. One of them is this is a sample of the one we did last year, last episode asked me 5.0. So this one will be, there's also a similar one for 6.0. So there are, for this episode, for this series, we have 4 episodes. So there'll be, after today's session, there will be exercises that will be shared on our platform for those that are registered for the event. And then you're supposed to do the exercise between now and next week. And after episode 2, there'll be another one. After episode 3, there'll be another one. So there'll be 3 exercises for this one. And that's the first criteria. Complete the exercises, first criteria. Second one is being part of ASME Premium membership. So these are the 2 criteria that we qualify, one for becoming ASME Premium members and also qualify for certificates. And at the end, like I mentioned earlier, batch 4 is on, and it will run till we open it on the 28th of November, because after that they will profile on our website. So also allow them to write on our mileage by putting their profile on our website, and they're even linked to the LinkedIn pages. And then there's a kind of if you like, call it a welcome party or kind of onboarding that is now scheduled for 7th of December. And details are on our website, and also this is linked to that DIaDeRC website, that ASME Premium group. Once you go to the website, click join the network, you get all the details. And if you, and I'm not going there yet, so please. I'm going here, right? Please see, you can see my screen. It was clicking. Okay, so that's that. Then the onboarding has been for that batch 4 that's open now. So what I encourage as many as can be part of it, please go ahead and part of it, because the onboarding will be held on the 7th of December. You go to our website. When you click on our event, you see all the events. When you click on join the network, you see the criteria for becoming a DIaDeRC ASME Premium member. And I want to encourage as many that can be part of it, please be part of it, and you'll be glad you did. And many persons have been there from batch 1, and they've been testimonials have been there are numerous. You can go to our news and see many people having such testimonials. So for this ASME 6.0, there will be 3 exercises. After today, there's a link, but tomorrow or next, we will share the link on our various groups, email, and also Telegram and WhatsApp group. So for episode 1, episode 2, and episode 3, So these are the 2 days that we'll do, and we expect to complete that ahead of time and subscribe to our Super memberships to qualify for certificates. Okay, so next opportunity I want to talk again is also be thankful to everyone that played a role and to God for his faithfulness. We have now have a journal called Institutions and Women Research Journal. It has both the print ISSN and also the EISSN. If you go to our website, under resources, you see journal, or just say DIaDeRC/journal. You have the details there. And thankfully, this journal we just launched last quarter, and we are amazed that currently we have over 40 submissions, quality papers around and are going to review. We want to bring out the volume 1 by before the end of the year. And then secondly, that we're also very privileged that among the advisory board members is one of the 2024 Nobel Prize winner as a part of the advisory board member for this journal, and many other members that you see on the website across different parts of the world, showing that this journal has such prospect for growth and for very soon it will be indexed in Scopus, it will be indexed in Web of Science, and all the plans are in place. And we're hopeful that you're part of it to give your work much more global visibility. Check it out on our website and you'll be glad you did. Okay, so this other one I mentioned earlier, that when we have seen that people were growing, growing to the glory of God, growing very, very rapidly. As I shared earlier, for this 6.0, we have people registering from over 34 countries, from almost all the continents of the world. So I've launched this bespoke platform we call the Scholars Mentorship Network. What it does that when we see common interests that people ask us about, we create a video on it, and from different areas. So if there's 2 things here, check it when you go to YouTube, just put the Scholars Mentorship Network. This is a link, and subscribe. Check out the videos there. There are a lot covering different areas. And then again, if there are some topics you want us to cover, you can also put a comment on that then, or send us email programs@diadeRC.org. We'll be glad to respond to that and create a video in that regard. Okay, so these are some other opportunities. Now, toward the end of the year, there's what we call the ASMN Community Converge, and then we'll do a book launch. The book launch is on energy efficiency, critical times. We are bringing experts in energy policy and energy experts and the energy research, and it's going to hold together with this ASMN community converge by the 21st of December. So it's going to be virtual as well. So mark your calendar, and it's going to be a very wonderful event. So these are some of the opportunities that we have on board. And one thing is that this is edited by our own publication lead, Dr. Romanus, and many of DIaDeRC ASMN members contributed chapter to that book. So, okay, lastly on that is thankfully to my team members, we did a course that ran between August and October of this year called the Applied Data Science course. And we were so wowed that I think we have over 50 persons that registered for the course, and it's ran throughout the 8 weeks of engagement. They now have what we call a capsule group, about 6 groups collaborating. So those of us that meet the requirement, the certificate will be issued soon. And the way it is, we now have it on our LMS, learning management system portal. So you can log in. Once you complete your certificate, you download your certificate every time. So this is a sample certificate that we're issuing that. And from the feedback we are getting, we are prepared to do a follow-up of the course in early next year, and also advanced course next year. So watch out for us. It's always on our event page and update. We're glad you did. And thanks to team members that are able to handle that course. We appreciate you so much. Okay, so after that opportunity, let me just say, because few things on embarking on Grantsmanship. Professor Folabi, my big brother, has covered a lot of that, so I don't want to repeat the ones he has done. And thankfully, there are 2 videos I want to recommend to us on our Scholars Mentorship Network. This one I mentioned earlier. So there are 2 videos there I want to recommend to us. And one of them is, I call it the 10 commandments of Grantsmanship. So they have spent time on providing 10 points. I will touch them, but I've added 2 more commandments. So it's growing. This one is part 1. Part 2 will come up when it's get up again. So, and then another one again, I want to recommend to us. The second one is why you need a mentor in your academic and professional journey. So these are the two videos that I want to draw from for this particular talk. This next slide I'm presenting, but I won't go into details. The one that are new, I will spend a few minutes there. The one that are already done on YouTube on the channel, I'll just refer you to it. Okay. Now, again, to also get us on the same page, please use whether you're on YouTube or you are on a Zoom platform. Now, use the comments to write what we call a SMART. I want to just in one sentence or could be a quote. What do you want to achieve in your career in the next 1 year, which is the short-term goal? Second point, 3 to 5 years, medium-term goal. Third point, 7 to 10 years. There's what we call the principle of a long-term perspective. It's a law in management or strategic thinking that if you set a goal that the longer the goal you set, the more focused you become, because when you have like a mission statement or your vision statement, you have it at the end, then you can now break it down into maybe I have a long-term goal for 10 years. In the next 10 years, this is the one I want to become. I want to become a chancellor of a university that's well known. Okay, that's 10 years. Can I break it down to what will I be doing 5 years time, 2 years time, 1 month? So you break it down. So let's use the comment to get that done. Please quickly as I go on. So for proposal grant writing, some ask a lot of questions on that. And okay, how do I know the area to research that will be relevant? How do I, so what are the kind of templates? This slide, I don't intend to give you a template, but a general idea that will help you. And so ask which area of research do I want to write that will be relevant? I normally refer them to the 17 SDGs. Okay, this is like what the word is saying. Okay, and there's no area of, no matter where we are coming from the art or humanities or sciences, medical science, social science, economics, business, there is something you are doing or you like that will be related to one out of the 17 goals. So you can build your research around it. But even some grants or writing, they will tell you to clearly, I think I submitted a grant just last week with a colleague, and they asked us to mention clearly which of the SDGs this your proposal is contributing to. Is that clear? Okay. So for a typical grant format, proposal format, okay, there should be introduction. I will give you the background and then clearly state what motivates the study. Why do you want us to commit funding for this study? Why do you want us to read your work? And then I've got you clear objectives or research question or hypothesis. In some cases, one of them is enough. Then, probably I said earlier, there should be something knitted to the literature. What is literature saying? And what are you contributing to it? So it should have a foothold in literature or theory, which is next one, kind of a conceptual theoretical framework. And then this is other very important methodology should be very clear. From experience, I will share shortly. I found out that many people undermine this because this is the how of the proposal or the project. So if the funding agency cannot see the how, it becomes difficult to commit money to it. So your methodology or materials and methods, including the scope, should be very clear. I think I'll give a talk on that. They want to give us some other commandments on that. Now, another one is when you do the work, what is the kind of anticipated output? What do you anticipate to get at the end of the day? Okay, and that's another one can link to the issue of relevance or fear of change. If you do this work, what will change? What will be, how will it improve a society? Improve it may not be in general society, but in a small domain you are coming from. What will be the impact on that? And then, of course, if it's a team project, you want to see the team composition, gender balance, all that, and much more so your work plan or timeline, Gantt chart comes here. Then budget is very important, and then you can end references. So this is the kind of not template, but kind of a structure that can help you to structure your proposal very well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, from the review I've done recently, there are some issues. I think I did that one recently for Codestra, another one for another committee I overseeing about $1 million grant by foundation. So what we see, the first one for Codestra is that I mentioned clearly in my report, I reviewed about 10 proposals. And I was meant to rank them or consider. So what I found that many people spend time and space explaining the problem statement and leave little time or space for methodology. Somebody is studying 3 out of the 10-page space provided or you're asked to do. So are spending 3 to 4 pages explaining the problem, and leave when you go to methodology just 1 or 2 paragraphs. That's not good enough. Okay, another thing I found is that before then is that many people pay attention. They're not paying attention to details, and I will show us shortly. Okay. So and on that, I will take us now to what I call the commandments of Grantsmanship. Like I mentioned earlier, 1 to 10. So on our scholars mentorship network channel, I mentioned earlier. But there are 2 I've added. I think that was done last quarter. I've added from the experience I've gotten. Additionally, I've added 2 more. So that's why I'm starting from number 12. So the 12th one I've already added 2 to the 10 I did earlier on the channel. One is that time budgeting is as important in grant writing and execution. So as you are preparing your grant, apart from your financial budget, your time budgeting is very important, both to show the what you will do, and there's a timeline, how the project, if it's like 2 years, how do you want to sequence the project? And much more so, how do you want to commit your time to it? Because I've said here that you only have 24 hours in a day. I'm not sure it will change very soon. Okay, 24 hours in a day. And able to do everything you need to do in 24 hours in a day, whatever your location. So in this case, there's need to budget your time effectively and efficiently. How does that help us as scholars or professionals? You should know which time of the day you are at your best, or which time of the day that you are more productive. When I was much younger, doing my PhD, I was very productive in the night. Okay, I can just take a nap like 1 hour or 30 minutes in the day. In the night, I can spend the whole of night. But now, as I'm becoming more growing, I become busy. I was one of 1 wife and 3 children. So working at night has become very difficult because of that commitment. So what I now do, I have seen myself, I work now more efficient early in the morning. So most time by 7, I'm in the office. And between that 7 and 9, when the morning is very, very fresh, I can put this. So I'm now spending my time for ideation, thinking with early morning. So you should also look at what works for you while you are writing your I think probably talk about you must write multiple edition, multiple versions. You cannot write that when you are not at your best. So if it's morning is your best time, early in the morning, you can just spend that to revise your work. If it's in the night, you can use that time. So know what works for you. So one of the commandments I mentioned here that time budgeting is as important as financial budgeting in grant writing and execution. That's the one I've added recently. Another one I've added number 11th commandments. Other to the 10 I have before on the channel is that nothing is wrong starting small, but anything may go wrong while staying small. So you can start from where you are. Don't remain where you are. Okay, when I was writing this just to do last minute checking, I put this. I asked Google to give me image on this. Nothing wrong starting small, and I saw this image and I found that very important. Say there's nothing wrong with starting small, just like what we are saying here. So you can just like I'm just $1,000 grant you're applying for. Start from there. That's your level. But as you started, you want it to give you mileage. When you say give example of your previous project or funded grant, you can put it, and you also learn the skill of the art and the science of writing. So start from there. But as you start, you keep growing. Don't stay where you are, but keep moving. That's 11 commandments. On that, I want to now quickly run through the other 10 commandments I have earlier on our scholars network channel, and I'll just bring out the key important one. Number 1 of them is that grant writing is not a beggarly process. It's a mutual process. So when you are writing, come from the point of contribution. You are contributing. Okay, somebody asked a question about a poetry project. So you're able to convince funder that I have this project. I'm not begging for money. It's not for me. I want to use my skill and knowledge for the betterment of society. And there are many agencies that are having such mission. So in this case, so that we normally say that your success is so important, not only to you, but even to the agency funding you. And that's what normally say on this our network that the success of the grantee is the testimony of the grantor. So it's a win-win situation. So always have that, because when your your focus is, your energy will where your focus goes, your energy flows. So the first one of that mentioned before on channel is that Grantsmanship is not a mechanical process, but a mutual process. So the second one I have there as well is that Grantsmanship is not a sprint. You know, this guy also, but it's not like a 10 minutes dash. And I think Prof said that earlier, that is a whole lot. You have to write, revise, do it again and again and again. So it's not hit and run. It's a hit and stick. You do it again, over and again. If you submit, you don't win, try again and try again. Again, you will be that. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So that's the second one is a sprint and not a marathon. Okay. This one, okay, this one was an update. I was using one before explain that we had, but there's a new one that came recently, just this week that passed, 23rd of the day is 26th, about 3 days ago. And I said that is one the document I have on our channel that follow the rules and guidelines, their rules or their guidelines painstakingly. It could be that trivial, but it's so important. Look at this one. If you can see the comment there, you can read it and I'll read it for you. He said, look at the comments they sent to one of my team members, submitted the grant. And I'll tell us what happened there. Say, unfortunately, your application has been unsuccessful on this occasion due to what was the reason? Due to non-compliance with the requirements of the call, specifically to the proposal. They say specifically the proposal exceeded 10 pages and there was no problem statement. But I think this is what he did. And I've called the guy, said, come, what happened? The guy said, Prof, it was just 10.5 pages. I said, for God's sake, they say maximum of 10 pages. Why did you make it 10.5 pages? To him, if they said 10 pages, half cannot be anything. But for the funding agency, they said maximum of 10 pages. So even though it's 10.5, the proposal was rejected on that note, just on that. And unfortunately, it didn't proceed to that stage. You know why? Because when it comes to guidelines, the expert are not the one that will check the guidelines. It's those assistants or grant assistants. They have the mandate, put each grant submitted on a template. So the one that meet the requirements to the left, the one that meet the requirement to the right, and then everyone that meets the requirement will be just desk. It's like when you talk about journal, desk rejection. So that's what I mentioned earlier. There's need to pay attention to details by following the rules. So don't say it's trivial. I have 10.5 pages. They say 10 pages. I think I've tried. No, that's the half that was added. The half that was added was the reason why this particular one was rejected. Is that trivial, but very important. So that's why it's a commandment that you must follow the guidelines painstakingly, or if you like, religiously. Don't ask too much questions. Follow it and get. So the next one, number 4, I have to talk about it, is that it's not a money-making process. Grant is you are seeking value. So it's not that you are going to apply for grants so you can be rich. No. But because someone asked me, say, when I was announced that I want a grant, so say money don't come, money has come. I said, no, the money is not for me. The money is for the project. So please, grant writing is not a money-making process. Money will come. Money is a byproduct. If you do, maybe you do your budgeting for time and all of that, you can get money, but don't put money first, or that you miss it. Remember that when we was the last conference of Nigerian Community Society, we went. This is our immediate past president, and this is me representing Professor James Robinson after his give a Nobel laureate speech at the conference. So all of us on this platform, you see the way we work, it's like we are being paid millions. All of us work for free, but yet we are happy that we are contributing to society. So go with the mind of contribution and not to take. So, and at the end of the day, the money will come. Okay. Number 5 is simple. I won't spend time on that. That grant writing is a non-linear process. There's no particular. I would say this. Each one grant you are applying differs. I differ from the agency. Even the agency change their own approach. Some can be by email. Some can be on their portal. You just follow what they say. So there's no one rule that fits all. Each one is unique. So you can revise. I think Prof said it earlier that you better to just check their templates. You can create a dummy account and go through it. But what I normally do with my team members now, when we apply for a grant, we do a Google Doc. try to mimic that particular grant we're applying for, and we need to populate our ideas in a collaborative manner. So it's a non-linear process. Follow each one has an so don't rely on your past experience. It can change. So each one should be approached as a fresh understanding. So the next one, number 6, is that these are very important. Say no to 11th hour rush, what we call the avoid lastminute.com. I think Prof said earlier that plan to submit your proposal ahead of time. And normally, as my team, I think 2 days to the deadline scheduled, 2 days at least, we must get our proposal ready. Can you see me? Okay. Yes. There's one I was submitting a proposal with a colleague about last week, yes. And I think we have extra 2 days. So as I was submitting online, we found out that we misunderstood their guideline for the budget. They said 20% must not be more than the overhead cost. I don't know, we were looking at it per annum, but for the entire project, a 2-year project. Thank God we had the extra 2 days we're about to submit it, and we saw it. We have to now adjust, and the following day to adjust before we submit it. Had it been there was no time for that adjustment, it would have been a disaster. Like I mentioned earlier before, we were submitting a proposal for a project with in traffic mobility, and the team lead couldn't submit because of there was network, and that was the last day for that grant, and that's what missed that that grant. All the effort put in place, we miss it out. So say no to 11th hour rush, finish your work on time, and give allowance for error time. This one, Prof, I said I want to say earlier, grant is both an art and a science. So even though you have a good idea, you must know how to craft it neatly, because if you have a good idea that you cannot communicate very well, it will be misunderstood. So ensure that you follow it scientifically, and also be artistic in your way you communicate your ideas. Okay, I'll go to the next one. We're making good progress. I will soon stop now, so I can have Q&A. So next one is that don't undermine the power of collaboration. So, and I'll tell us why. Because 2 is always more. 2 is always better than 1, but there will be 2 that are collaboration. So don't undermine the power of collaboration. But it's also very important that you must choose your team intentionally. Don't choose your team because you're in the same department, you are your colleagues or your friends. No, the ones that are able to contribute to the idea are the ones that will be part of it. It's not because if the team is not collaborating, even if you get the grant, to execute the grant may be very difficult to do. I'm almost done. So the next one is it is better not to win a grant than to win and not deliver. This is very important. So if you're not ready to deliver any grant, please don't apply for the grant, because your integrity is at stake. And much more so, if you don't deliver, it affects your future prospects. Not only you, your institution is at stake, even your country is at stake. Okay, so if you do a grant application, be sure you are ready to have time for it. But they will tell you to declare in sum how many time you're going to devote to the project, 25% of your time, or as case may be, or you want to do teaching, somebody that can take off your teaching, so you can devote your time for it. Very important. And if there's need to adjust the timing or the budget for the grant due to exigencies, communicate to the agency and do very well. For example, we're doing a grant before, and there was a time that I think after COVID-19, we couldn't go to the field. So we wrote to the agency, funded by Humboldt Foundation, that we need extra 6 months extension of the grant, because no cost extension. And these are the reason. Otherwise, of course, it was accepted. Why? Because don't forget that I was earlier that the granting agency wants you to succeed because your success is a testimony. That was the success of the grantee is the testimony of the grantor. Okay, so this one we did for the academia 2023 with a gain, and from this project we did recorded it on YouTube and also put it on our website. And from that, there was another team that to write similar. I mean, I think we did the pilot for Nigeria. Another team was to do that for, I think, Indonesia and India. We did what we did, and they were impressed. They referred it to us to to give insight. I will refer to the team in India and Indonesia to what we did on our website, and they were very impressed. So you'll be ready to deliver as part of the commandment. Then the last one, as I begin to stop for Q&A, is that rejection is not a death sentence. So even if you have done your best, put your best, you hear rejected, we are like this one I said earlier. This one I mentioned earlier about 11. That was 11. This one I mentioned earlier. No. This one was that one on. I think the one I said on the. Yeah, this one. This one just came out October 23. Or fortunately, okay. I said, well, the guy, I told my team about why we need to polish it and then plan it for your purpose. So even if after you have done your best and you still get rejected, get the comments, get the feedback, use the feedback to update, and then do your best. And someone asked me, Prof, how many times we last do before I stop? I normally give this how Jesus answered Peter. He said, how many times will my brother offend me to forgive? Is this 7 times? He said there's 70 times 7. So if you apply one grant, it was turned down, try again, until 70 times 7 in a day or a year. So in other words, there's no need to stop. No, like they say in military, no stopping, no parking, keep moving. And you'll be glad at the end of the day, there will always a light at the end of the tunnel. So on that, I want to stop here now so we can go to Q&A. So, team member, let's look at the comments. Probably see I'm here. So let's, and if in case you want to talk, you have a opponent you want to talk. So please, the next 20 minutes, we have that for Q&A. So you can raise your hand, we identify your hand, and then we can acknowledge you to speak up. Otherwise, you can use the comments both here on Zoom or if you are on YouTube. Thanks so much. So it's now Q&A. Let's take our comment, please, team members, both on YouTube and on Zoom. Let's look at the comment or question there. Yeah. Okay, somebody's saying, are we to have the slide at the end? Well, it's already on YouTube live, so you can check it on YouTube. Okay. Okay, how do I register for the data science training? Okay, it will be on our website. If you go to DIaDeRC.org under, but we have not opened up for the past ones. We have finished one. Next one will tell you the details. Only check on our website under news or under events. You see them. Okay, somebody is saying yes. Okay, probably 3 papers in the next year. Learn more skills acquire in my area and expertise. Yeah, thanks so much. Be a consultant. Yeah, thanks so much, Mark. Also, thanks so much. That's a good one. Okay, more question. I'll answer this one. Okay, if you can. Okay, one hand is raised. Emmanuel Okawa. Okay, let me just stop sharing and then I can see your hand very well. Emmanuel's hand is raised. Thank you so much. Any other hand is raised, let's acknowledge them. I want to be sure. Yeah, if you have your hand raised, we can acknowledge you now. And before we do that, if you allow me, my media want me to take a screenshot. If you are in a place that you can share a video, please, you can do that, take a screenshot before we not we're seeing Q&A. Okay, if it's possible to show your face, please do show your face. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. As if it's possible, we'll take a screenshot. That would be great. Thank you so much. While we are waiting for others to ask questions, you can use the comment section for the question, whether here in you. But if you're on Zoom, you can raise your hand. I have one hand already. I want to get more hands so I can take them. Yeah, many more. If any place you can share your screen, please do show. Otherwise, we understand. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, let me just take this one. Okay, Emmanuel, you have the floor. Okay, wow, is okay, okay. You can unmute and ask a question while we are waiting for more persons to on their camera so we can take the screenshot. Okay, Emmanuel, you can unmute and then.
All right, thank you, Professor Saboe and Professor Taiwo. My name is Emmanuel, and Incidentally, I'm a Nigerian and I grew up from the city where you were born, I guess, in Benin City. But I'm resident in Kenya nowadays for the last 2 decades. There's a question I want to ask concerning application and preparing your proposal. And this question also goes to Professor Folabi. Nowadays, most of these grantors, the applications are on a defined platform, or like DIaDeRC that I applied 2 months ago was in a monkey survey, something like that. And then there's a defined portal where you put in you respond to each of the sections. The sections often may not necessarily follow your usual pattern for writing proposals, academic proposals and all that, grant proposals. They might be requiring certain things. So what I'm asking, is it not daunting, so to say, or more like too much of work to want to, draft a proposal, 20-page, 6-page, 5-page, and then when you come to the portal, probably you come to the portal a week or maybe 2 weeks before the deadline, and then you find that you are restricted to numbers of words, you're restricted to a particular title and all that, and you find yourself writing. So if you were to advise what should be the right portal, the right format, should you, when you seal a call, you get in, you register on that portal, then you get the chance to go through all the sections and write your proposal according to, or you just write where you put your ideas together and then start refining again. What would you want to say? And I think this might also be, I tried to find a way of going around it. I think this question might be more helpful for some of our junior colleagues who may be venturing into this, whereby after writing a proposal, then when you go to apply, you see you're asked sort of quote unquote different questions that may
I think
have been different or may not have been communication document that you already spent time to write. Thank you.
Okay, I think that is quite noted. Okay, maybe I'll just take one more. They will ask it together. Me and Prof can answer together. Dennis Zemi at Tibuni, your hand is raised. Dennis, can you unmute?
Thank you, Prof. My alumnus from IDC 2023.
IDC, okay. How are you, sir?
All right, Prof. Yes, yeah. Thanks for this initiative. And you remember I congratulated you and I continue to do so. And I want to thank everyone who is participating. Now, just a little question here. We, in our academic institutions in Uganda, privilege grant winning for academic promotions. And my own view of the whole process of privileging academic grants for academic growth is from a colonial or rather decolonial perspective that we are disadvantaging ourselves. So on that premise, I just wanted to ask two questions, because I see the whole picture as the bigger the beggar, the better the academic in our setting here. So I wanted to ask, how is this good for us when we are struggling to decolonize ourselves? Then two, what can we do in order to be givers rather than just receivers in the whole epistemological politics of grants? Because we seem to be only on the receiving end, and this probably is an extension of the coloniality of epistemology. Thank you.
Okay, Prof, you want to come in here? I will come after you. Professor Falabi.
Yes, absolutely. So thanks, Dr. Denise, for raising that question. My work also sits in it's part of the area where my work sits. It's in decolonization and really thinking of unsettling dominant narratives. So I do hear you. I want us to take a step back though. So what we're talking about here is building a skill set that is needed, whatever context you find yourself. Why I am situated in Canada, but I also work in the context of Nigeria. And a lot of the fundings that many of our researchers have access to, on especially in my own field in arts, but broadly art, performance, and theater, unfortunately, they reside in the West. So and a lot of some of those fundings also, even if they want to work in Africa and some other spaces, it requires a lot of partnerships. So I think that what we're talking about here is one, how can you learn this process of grant writing and grant making? We need a lot of grant makers on the continent and do a whole lot of conversation around that. But how can we leverage the existing systems that are available, fundings and all of that to be able to do the kind of research that we want to do? So there are a lot of funding opportunities that are actually focused on decolonial works, for example. So I think that what most important is how can we build these skills, which we really need to be able to build our own research, whether you're working within the colonial, whether it's from a decolonial lens or not. So that's first one. The second thing also is that more and more, again, from a decolonial lens, there is a lot of conversation around how do we decolonize the academy. So the publishing models, the evaluation, peer review process, and all of that. And there are many countries that are into that already. And especially if you think about Australia and many of our folks, even in Canada, the indigenous thinking and all of that is in place already. What I would say though is that the future we want, the future we desire is not necessarily there 100%. So you realize that we have to sort of find a way from a very pragmatic standpoint. We need to find a way to kind of balance that as we're trying to work towards as we're aspiring towards the future, we also need to understand where we're at. So I'll give you an example. In my own work, I have a body of work really around your regular publishing and all of those things. But I also know that from a decolonial lens, I don't just necessarily want to privilege all the publishing, the journals, and all of those things. Well, podcasting, documentary, all other ways of engaging and creating and transmitting and disseminating knowledge. So from a very pragmatic standpoint, both of them can coexist. And that's because the systems where all of us are working in, at least most of us are working in, it's not 100% decolonized. And I don't think that we can 100% decolonize because of globalization, because of neo-colonial practices. And again, all these things I'm talking are sort of beyond the horizon and purview of this seminar, of this webinar. However, many of our institutions are not, in promotion, in all of those things, they are not designed in 100% decolonized in a way. So we need to find a way to uphold both of them as we aspire to the future. It's important. And that's what I tell myself, and I work with sort of my mentees, and I tell them all the time. We sort of live in this, we're always in the liminal space of this conversation. While some universities and some systems have gone way ahead, some others are coming behind. So we need to find a way, as much as we need to strengthen the work you're doing in Uganda, decolonize the academia. We also need to connect with what is happening in other spaces and be equal partners and equal players. And that goes back to what Professor Evans was saying, where we think about grant writing and all of that. That grant is not, we need to shift our mindset. So when I'm doing work, for example, I work with my colleagues in South Africa, in Nigeria and all of that. Where I'm asking them, what do we want to do? Not what is what does the West want us to do? And I think that's the decolonial, Ngugi wa Thiong'o talked about decolonizing the mind. We need to think about fundraising and fundwriting from a very different standpoint to say, I'm not here to beg. I'm actually here to use my expertise and my knowledge for us to work together to build a better society. I do hope that, and I'm happy to chat more with you outside the context of this conversation, this webinars, because I think you are really raising critical existential issues within the academy. And then the earlier question, and I'll pass it on to Professor Evans here. The earlier question about the portal and all of that, part of what I said at the beginning of my presentation is any funding opportunity you want to apply for, please read the guidelines, go to the portal, check the questions, check all of those things, because the format would always be different. Some of them will say upload 5 page. Some will say upload 10 pages. The example Prof gave us, you can read that the reason why they denied that application is because the person went over 10 pages. So read is good to go to the portal, create the moment you know about the funding opportunity and all of that. Go online, create your account, know what they're asking of you. Now, with that, for me, and I speak for myself, when I want to write any kind of project application, I create a document for myself, a 5 page, a 10 page that I can then pull from, okay? But we work differently. And the reason why I have to create that document is that many of these funding applications, some of them you can't save it, right? You can't just respond and save. Some of them you have to do it at a go. So it's also good to create a document where you have your 5 page document about a proposal, which is the idea, your literature review, your methodology, your knowledge dissemination, references, and all of that you can pull from. And then from there, you can then use that to move into whatever the application requirement is asking of you. I'll pass it on to Prof now to add to this.
Okay, thank you so much. Emmanuel, I think just to start with what the Prof said is that this is what I normally do now, because like I said earlier, your time, you don't have enough time. So there's anything that can save your time, please do save it. So I don't expect you to write the proposal on itself first. When I go to the online or somewhere more key, and I find out that the pattern is different. This one, this Chinwe is here. Normally, do one who want to apply for a grant. I say, Chinwe, please go to the website, check their format. If it's to create, I can create the account. If it's not, we will not create our own Google Doc following each of those sessions, proposal statements, 300 words. As we are, so we are writing it from on our own site. When we are ready to submit, after the checking everything, we will now be copy and paste from your own Google Doc. You are already working on 300 words. So you can benchmark each. We are working towards the answer, because you don't have enough time. Even the agency don't have enough time. So like I just said earlier, anything that if you say 300 words, it's more than 301, 305. In some portal, you do some itself. You tell you that you have to now start to reconstruct at that time. You already test with time. So even to reconstruct, you may even lose some vital information. So I normally say, okay, create a Word document on Google Doc. Let's do our thinking on that and then populate it to the form. So that's what I do. I think that's what I want to recommend to others. Yeah, thanks so much, Dennis. Thanks to Marcel, etc. The area of issue of colonization and decolonization is very important. There are some agencies, I know of Codestra. Codestra work, they support Africanism. So if you want to do a work around the issue of decolonization, agencies like Codestra will be one that you can approach. Even African AERC for economists also support such research. And much more so is to also encourage our own African big brothers. And no, I think I mentioned one now, one of my our chancellor now gave a 1 million grant. So you want to fund research that will have community impact. That is his own idea. It's an African. So if you can encourage our Africans, okay, they can also fund research. They will have in every country there are people that are well to do. They can have their own fund. I think it's the mindset. It's the mindset. If they can fund football, funding teams outside of Africa, they can also fund research. And it can start from where we are. So one, there are agencies currently that support such thinking. I mentioned Codestra, I mentioned ARC. And then two, is that we can also encourage our Africans, lead the African what to do to create foundation and support research. Number three is what I do. If you are submitting a maybe from the West, whatever it is from, what I do is that if they give you the grant, use the grant to source data. So if I give an example, if I get a grant from, let's say, from the Gates Foundation on a given research, So that funding can help me to gather data on other variables outside their own submitting to them. So at the end of the day, I've used their money or their grants to gather data. So after I have fulfilled their research, submitted my report, I can now go back to the data, the variables I have not used. I can use that to also create my own research. So in that case, the funding was for a particular purpose, but you have overflow. They cannot use to support your research and to support your area of research. So these are ways I can explain that. I think that is that for what purpose. And so, let's check the other comments on YouTube or on Zoom. We'll see a few minutes. If you have to ask question, please do raise your hand and I will acknowledge you, or keep them coming here on Zoom, or if you're on YouTube. Yeah, thanks so much. I said they always check the format of the grant opportunities so that you don't waste your effort. Very important. So from the beginning, check the format, check the guidelines. Okay, let's get more comments. Or if you want to ask questions, you can raise your hand. Thanks to Dennis and Emmanuel. Either one can raise your hand. We can acknowledge you. Try to respond to comments that are on the chat. Okay, let's see. We have more. I've answered most of them on the donor agency. I've answered that. And then, yes, one hand. Emmanuel, come back again. Okay, let me see the other side. We don't monopolize. You don't colonize the discussion. Okay, Emmanuel. Okay. Quick comment. I can. Let me see the other hands. If not, I can give you that privilege. Yes, Emmanuel, go ahead, sir. Emmanuel, your hand is raised. Is it the old hand or the new hand? If you are talking, you are muted. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor Evans and Professor Folabi, for my questions were very well responded to. I asked that question from the purview that I feel it didn't come out well, and I wanted a lot of persons to also benefit from that issue of having writing and then knowing the new way most of these funders. If you will allow me, I wanted to share a thought in the discussion that's ongoing, and that's actually issue of decolonization. I think many of our scholars may be misunderstanding this when we talk about research grants and research grant application and all that. We're not talking about AIDS or whatever. And Professor Folobi did say, I think it was you, Professor Evans, you're not begging. You're not begging when you're writing grant. It's a partnership. If you come to, I'm currently in the UK, and Professor Folobi, I know, is in Canada. If you come to these universities here, people thrive by grants. The university will not give you money to do research. You need to get grants. You need to compete and to grow in your as a scholar by getting grants. So for us as researchers, when we write for grant, it's not like we are begging, what is it called, Gates Foundation to change our mentality or to colonize us. For us as academia, as researchers in the university, our winning grant is to give us those competitive edge to grow our research. And our research at the end of the day will be localized. I think we should move away from that thought of maybe scholars writing research grants, seeking grant is a way of colonization of our mind or taking money to do the will of the colonial masters. It's not my presentation and it's not but I just thought I just throw in that because it was a very interesting talk and I like the angle with which Professor Folabi really approached this. Thank you very much. Sorry, I've taken too much. Thank you.
No, it's well noted and thanks so much. It's interaction. Okay. All right, thanks so much, everyone. It's been very interactive. I want to be sure that those on YouTube as having any question, let's check team members. So we don't want to leave them out of the discussion. I've seen many engagements there, but let's see there are questions. Don't miss it out. Team member, please check. Otherwise, if there are questions on those on YouTube, I know that they're engaging seriously. We have over 30 of them on YouTube, which is quite encouraging. So, okay, there's no question, particularly one. Okay, please read it out.
So, power or something. He said, if the font size and the line space for a proposal are not given, what is the right format?
Okay, yeah, thanks so much, Kemi, right? So is it if they didn't give you the font size and the font type, what is the right one? Okay, the line spacing. Okay, yeah, that's if it's like you're sending by email. So if I'm saying that I will recommend, I normally use Times Roman for my proposal writing, Times Roman and 12, 1.5 spacing. That's what I recommend. But in most cases, just to repeat, Times Roman, Times New Roman, 12 font, and then 1.5 spacing. It could be visible to the eyes. That's what I recommend. But in most cases now, it's online. So in online, it's already formatted. So the issue of a font size, issue of a font type does not come in. The system has such format. I have answered you. Thanks so much, Kemi, for that question.
I would also say that the person should read, there will be a character limit to it. There is no funding that will not give you. So for me, when I hear that question, the person has not read the instruction very well. There will always be a character limit. So they can say 7,000 characters or 10,000 characters. When you convert that character within Word document, it will give you a certain limit because nobody's going to read 100 pages. And like Prof said, these things are online now. So, but check the limit. If they don't give you character limit, they will give you page limit. So they may not tell you,
at the end of the day, okay.
Let me meet your place.
Okay.
Let me meet or then. Yeah, Prof, you can unmute. I have to meet everybody.
Okay, thank you. So I was just going to say that they may not give you page limit and they may not give you font size, font type, but they will give you either character limit or page limit. And then that page limit can then, like Prof said, don't go and do 10 because it won't be legible so that you can cram in more words. Try to do 12 new Times Romans and go 1.5, but they'll give you page limit. They will also give you character limit. So please read it carefully because we've seen where all of that kind of just great idea, great proposal, but they didn't follow the rule. We just threw it in the garbage. All right.
Okay, thank you so much. I think I want to close now. Thanks everyone. We appreciate your time. And this first edition has been very awesome. First episode. I want to continue same time. I think the engagement have been very good here on YouTube and on Zoom and YouTube. Appreciate you. And for those who register for the course, we say thank you so much. So let's keep engaging. We just take the last announcement as we begin to close. It's been very, I know the issue of a time zone. If you look at those covered in the what we have, it's difficult to have an agreeable time zone. We can have from Brazil, from US, from even from I know some are far early, late in the night, some are afternoon. So we want to see how best we can accommodate everyone as we go on by God's grace. Okay, and so to remind us, this is just episode 1 and it's of ASMN 6.0. It's been technically. How to meet everybody, mute everybody. Who is that talking? Mute everybody. Okay. So this is one, we just say that today. And by God's grace, to next week, same time, because it's running from 6 p.m. today to 8 p.m. Nigeria time. We are closing now from October 26th to November 16th. So next week is episode 2. We have these wonderful ladies coming from the angle of AI research, AI in publication, all about AI, leverage on AI for credible research. So don't miss it for anything. Dr. Judith and Dr. Chinwe, these wonderful ladies are going to give us a wonderful same time next week. Maybe already. After that, we go on a publication, episode 3 rather, and episode 4 is my big brother from the African Development Bank. On that is also coming to the last day. And the issue of certificate, I've shed in light on how that is ready. So after today now, we will share exercise for this episode. This is what we cover today. It will be shared on our emails. Those are registered for the session, and also on our on our WhatsApp and Telegram group to be shared there. So let's watch out for it between Monday and Tuesday. So to just be short exercise and also be sure that we are learning. And when we see the exercise, we're encouraged to go by the YouTube link. It's on it's on YouTube, live on YouTube already. So go by it again and again. You'll be glad you did. And then one studies completion is one of the criteria. And then another one is also onboarding for our SME Premium membership. This is the second criteria for certificates, and to be issued on the last day, which is to those who meet the requirements and subscribe to a SME Premium membership which is on the 16th of November. So having said that, all these channels are there. Let's check them out. And we're glad it is. So on that note, we've gone full circle for today. I want to welcome us. Wish us a very good night rest for those of us holding in the night, evening for those on evening. And for someone asked about this course, no matter if you go to our website, DIaDeRC.org, under events, you see all our events that are outlined there. And join the network, you see the criteria to join the network. On that, I want to say thank you so very much. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your commitment. So I'm going to see you again, same time next week, 6 p.m. GMT plus 1, 6 p.m. Nigerian time. And if you register on Zoom, the Zoom will give you your local time. That's why I encourage you to register on Zoom. Zoom will put the reminder on local time. So on that note, I want to say thank you so much. I normally wait for 5 more minutes in case there are key burning questions. But for now, I will stop sharing now because we have come full circle. Thanks so much for following. I know it's a great,
Thank you so much.
sacrifice. I must appreciate and for the passion, and it's doing all of us are doing all this for free, and we are seeing that we are seeing the impact. Also, testimonial from those who are going through from 1.0 to 23. The many people are winning awards, getting good postdoc, becoming senior lecturer. These are what gives us joy. We want to be part of those building Africa, because Africa is our base. Although we have many persons are joining from non-Africans, we do now have the scholars mentorship network that can cover that demography. Once again, thank you so much. It's appreciated. And this link is on YouTube. Let's go back again and what I mention. So on that, I want to thank you. I want to stop recording and see you guys same time next week. I'll wait for 2 more minutes before I go. So stop.